Welcome to Dementia Resilience with Jill Lorenz, a candid conversation as we learn about dementia, Alzheimer's, and its effects on the people we love. Jill's years of dedication and experience help you adapt, recover, overcome obstacles, and help find a positive outcome. It's time for Dementia Resilience with Jill Lorenz.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a lovely day. I am very excited because this month we are celebrating Parkinson's awareness and information about our folks that we love that happen to have Parkinson's disease. We want to celebrate them, celebrate their resilience, and just really be aware of some of the challenges they go through each and every day of their lives. And you know, I've talked at length about how much I really admire the different ways that they exercise and their nutritional thoughts and things they value. And so today I have invited Cari Friedman to be on the show, and she is from the Parkinsons Association of the Rockies. Hi, Cari.
Hi, how are you today?
Great. I'm so glad to have you as a guest on the show today.
Thank you.
So you've had some big changes at the Parkinson's Association of the Rockies. My friend Cheryl Seifert retired a few months ago, and now you have a new CEO. Is that right?
That's correct. Her name's Jody Brown, and she her background is in corporate finance and marketing, and she's also been on boards for nonprofit companies and is really excited and has lots of energy for our group.
Oh, excellent. And now tell my listeners a little bit about you, Cari. How long have you been with PAR, and what do you do there?
Okay. Well, I'm the senior person at PAR. I've been there since 1999, so almost 19 years in September.
Excellent.
And my title is Patient and Family Service Director. I'm a social worker, and I provide resources for families. I did home visits where I would go out and meet with people when they have a new diagnosis of Parkinson's, or a crisis comes up, or there's a change in their health status.
Okay.
So, yeah, and then I answer the information referral line and help people when they're newly diagnosed and are afraid about what Parkinson's is, and help problem solve for them.
That's a big role, Cari.
Yeah, I love it. We have young onset people up to people in their late 90s. So young onset means under the age of 60. So, yeah.
And don't you get a lot of callers, a lot of new diagnosis of people maybe even in their 20s?
That may be what?
That are maybe in their 20s? 20s,
Not
30s?
Real. Usually the youngest I've had is 30, and there's not a new higher incidence of Parkinson's. It's that the doctors are more aware of that there is young onset and are able to, and there's different needs that younger people have, such as children at home and young kids and working still, and so balancing those sort of things.
Yes, that would be a major issue, I would think. We had a gentleman on the show a few months back, Greg, and he was talking about realizing he had Parkinson's when he was 25, and some of the struggles he went through, and he was an engineer and married, and just some of the things that he had to go through. So can you explain to my listeners how the Parkinsons of the Rockies was formed? You've been there a long time.
Yeah, we've had, this is our 30th year, and we've seen lots of changes. Now is the best time for PAR, because we call it PAR. It's a short for Parkinson's Association Rockies. And we have increased our staff, and literally we're having to tear down walls to put more people employees. We have a small staff, but we're now up to 8 people.
Wow.
And everybody has really great ideas for the Parkinson's Association. And our mission and goal is to educate people and empower them. And I think the education piece is the hardest part for people that are really afraid and frightened when they're told that they have Parkinson's, because some people ask me, well, the number one question is, what am I going to be like? And I don't have a crystal ball, but what we can do is provide different resources and exercise for people to help them to keep well-rounded and able to participate in life and have a good quality of life.
Right. And, years ago, take heart in your small staff and your small building, because when I met Cheryl Seifert, oh my gosh, it was way back. I want to say 1994 or 5. She was working at the Alzheimer's Association with Cheryl Parrish, and they were the first 2 people that I met, and their staff was 3. The other person was Linda Mitchell, who became the CEO over the years. And now they have a staff of like 40 on 2 floors. So, with time, everything grows. And unfortunately, this disease continues to grow. The numbers continue to grow. And it is has been expressed a few times as second to Alzheimer's disease in line of the people diagnosed. Is that true, or what are your statistics?
Yeah, well, in Colorado we have 17,000 people who have Parkinson's, and our mailing list is up to now 5,000 people. So we're still looking at marketing and spreading the word that we're there to help, and not that it is a chronic condition. It doesn't go away. So what does that mean? Everybody is different in how they progress or not progress, but I tell people that as much as it's a progressive disease, also it's science and research is progressing at the same time.
That is so true. And I know that you work with the University of Colorado Hospital as well, with Dr. Kluger and his team, right?
That's correct. It's a nice fit between the Parkinson's Association and the university, because Dr. Kluger is doing research for Parkinson's and palliative care, and trying to see if, by going to palliative care, that can help with lessening the hospitalizations and falls. So, not only is it a physical thing, it's also psychological, mental issues about being afraid, and anxiety and depression are prevalent in people who have Parkinson's.
That is so true. And I really love what they're doing at University of Colorado to really help the whole family, not just the person with the diagnosis, but the people caring for them. And is that where you come in, Cari?
That's one of the main things that I do. It's a team, our palliative care. There's the doctors, the PAs, the nurse, the chaplain, and myself. And my role is mainly to help with care. I call it care partner, not caregiver, because we're all partners in crime. And so help them when they're overwhelmed, and provide resources for them, different ways to cope, and relaxation for them too. So, and the Parkinson's Association, we have a number of support groups throughout the state, and we have care partner support groups, and we have a number of places that we can help them partake in other things besides Parkinson's.
Absolutely. So we're going to take a break, but when we come back, let's just visit what is Parkinson's. What does the disease look like? And maybe you can explain a little bit about the Parkinson's-induced gait disorder and the rest tremors and so forth. We'll be right back, okay? Hey friends, I'm excited to tell you about Pine Grove Crossing Assisted Living and Memory Care in Parker, Colorado. They set the bar high for person-centered care. Locally owned, they focus on exceeding their residents' expectations while providing excellent dining, housekeeping, and transportation services. Their care team with licensed nurses are available 16 hours per day, 7 days a week, to ensure clinical needs are addressed as soon as possible. Please call or visit them at pinegrovecrossing.com or at 303-996-8000 and see how care goes into everything they do.
It's time for Dementia Resilience with Jill Lorenz.
Okay, we're back, and I've got Cari Friedman with me with the Parkinsons Association of the Rockies. Cari, thank you for being with me today.
For sure. It's great to be with you and to educate people about Parkinson's.
Oh, I love that. So as we are educating them, let's go ahead and revisit as though somebody's listening for the first time. Can you tell my listeners, Caregiver Nation, what is Parkinson's disease? How does it show its symptoms, etc.?
Sure. Well, when people, and it's not looked at as only an old person disease. That's not looked that way anymore.
Right.
When people get older, they can have some balance issues. Doesn't mean that's because they're old. And a lot of times it takes 3 to 5 years before someone is diagnosed with Parkinson's because sometimes their GP says, "Oh, you're just getting older." And so what they do is after these symptoms keep happening, they then go see a neurologist, a general neurologist, who will do a physical exam and watch them walk. And one arm isn't as symmetrical as the other one. There might be some balance issues. Their gait might be, their walking may be shuffling. And then they, when they're talking, they may be softer. And some people have, it's called a masked look on their face, where it's a blank stare and they're not really expressing their feelings and emotions. And so then the doctor asks them, what are their symptoms, and looking at them, and then they may diagnose them as Parkinsonism, which is symptoms like Parkinson's, but they're not clearly, they don't know for sure. So they may offer an MRI to see, rule out things to make sure it isn't other things like a stroke or a brain tumor or the mini strokes, TIAs. And if some people have dementia, and so to rule out that it's not Alzheimer's, because as we age, our brains get a little smaller, and with Alzheimer's, they get a lot smaller. So once they rule all that stuff out and put everything together, then they decide that the person they make the diagnosis of Parkinson's. So what is Parkinson's? It's a lack of a chemical called dopamine in the brain, and how you can look at it is that parallel with you need fuel for your car. If you don't have fuel, the car, if it gets low, the tank gets low, your car doesn't work as well. And your car, the symptoms might be, it might not function as well as the other car with the same car and at the same amount of fuel that's gone. And so with Parkinson's, the chemical dopamine that we all have it, that helps us with movement. And when you are diagnosed with Parkinson's, you've lost 80% of your dopamine. So your tank is almost empty.
Wow.
So everybody responds differently. So some people will have tremors, where the uncontrollable movement in their hands. Some people may have swallowing problems because everything is moving slower in the body, and so in the back of the throat, it doesn't get the signal to close, so it doesn't go down the esophagus. It goes directly into the lungs. So once they decide, yes, you have Parkinson's, then depending on how severe your symptoms are, some people, if it interferes with your daily life, your quality of life, then they would put you on a medication.
Okay.
And so the medication doesn't stop progression. It doesn't cure Parkinson's. It treats the symptoms.
Right. And not only that, but it can be sort of a double-edged sword. Is that correct? So the dopamine replacement, Sinemet or levodopa, sometimes can cause those tremors that you're trying to cure if the person is on the medication too long. Can you explain that? I think that's confusing for people.
Yeah. Some people, if it makes them feel better, and there's a short window that you have to take the drug the same time every day, and you build up slowly to that therapeutic dose, because otherwise you can have some side effects like nausea and stomach problems. And so once you're at that therapeutic dose, then it will treat those symptoms. And you know it's a true case of Parkinson's when the symptoms are lessened. Some people would rather not take the medicine because their symptoms really don't bother them. So it's about quality of life, and then you have to look at the individual person and what their feelings are and thoughts about the disease.
Right. And, you make a really great point about the symptoms. So I know that Dr. Kluger is especially fond of bicycle riding and a different exercise. And we do know, and I want to get more specific in the last segment here, but we do know that exercise can slow the stress, drop the stress levels, which help the symptoms. It doesn't cure anything, but it slows the stress, right?
Correct. Yes. And whenever exercise is just as important as medication. And the Parkinson's Association has a boxing class that started. There was one class in Denver, and now we're up to, I think the last count was 18 classes throughout the state.
Wow.
And boxing really, all exercise is good because it helps with getting those endorphins going so your mood is better. It helps with balance and strengthening and stiffness, rigidity. So that will help with all of those things. And it makes people feel good that they're doing something for themselves. So it can help people with Parkinson's. And I have a good success story I'll share with you.
Yeah.
We have a gentleman who's in his 60s, early 60s, and he was wearing knee pads all the time because he would fall all the time, and was using walking sticks, and was isolated, stayed home because he was embarrassed by his falls. He went to our boxing class, thought we were crazy because we said it's going to help your balance. Well, a year later, he doesn't wear the knee pads anymore and doesn't use the walking sticks.
That's amazing.
So, yeah.
Cheryl Seifert, who was your former CEO, she told me a story about a woman who came into one of the boxing programs that you had, and she just barely hit the bag, like just a little tap.
Right.
And they couldn't get her to keep going, hit it a little harder. And they were saying, are you ever mad when your leg freezes or you can't move, or how it affects your life and so on and so forth? And she said, well, yes. And Cheryl said, well, then let the bag know how you feel.
Right.
And apparently the lady hit it a few more times, and she said a little harder. And she said it took about 20 minutes to get this lady to really whack that bag to even make it move. And she said by the end of the program, that woman was boxing with both hands and was just happy as she could be. And she was trash talking the bag.
Yeah.
You're not going to run my life. You're not going to take over on me. And I thought that was just a phenomenal story. So I know that our friends really struggle with a lot of the different issues that Parkinson's will cause in their life, from intimacy with their partner and even just the worrying about maybe how they are perceived in the workforce and things of that nature. So when we come back on our second break, I want to talk about that. I want to know how you help them as a social worker to find resilience against this disease. How do you help them to get back into the world and to not let they're not the disease. They are a person who has the disease, right? So we're going to talk about that.
I tell people all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So when we come back, let's explore that a little bit more, okay? We'll be right back.
Living and working with Alzheimer's and other dementias can often be challenging. Summit Resilience Training provides education utilizing non-medical approaches for those who work with our friends affected by dementia. Believing families still need one-on-one assistance, we provide classes which help them understand the diseases affecting their loved ones, offering strategies and techniques for success with activities of daily living and working with confusing behaviors. We offer in-home assessments to clarify symptoms of dementia diseases and help families work together to find moments of joy while living with memory loss and impairment. Education programs instilling person-centered care philosophies are offered for professional caregivers working in communities and homes, which can be customized for their staff. Training is also available for first responders, such as law enforcement, fire, and EMT personnel. We are passionate that people with dementias such as Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and others are approached with compassion and understanding, and those who work with them have all the tools they need for success. Call us at Summit Resilience Training, 303-420-6988 to schedule a class or in-home assessment. Visit our website at summitresiliencetraining.com for more information.
It's time for Dementia Resilience with Jill Lorenz.
Okay, we are back, and I have Cari Friedman with me from the Parkinsons Association of the Rockies, and we were talking before the break, Cari, about some of the really day-to-day struggles people with Parkinson's face.
Right.
So can you tell me what some of those are? I named a few of them. I'll just revisit them. Trying to get a job. Our friend Greg told us about worrying when he left Sun Microsystems and had to go out and look for a new job. He tried desperately to hide his tremors so that they weren't worried about him in the workforce. But their family life, sex, intimacy, these are things that are skewed. These are things that maybe suffer a little bit, but how do you help them through their life to be resilient? My show's all about resilience, overcoming obstacles and adversity to find a positive outcome. How do you help them, Cari? I know that's a big question. But
that is a big question. When I meet with people, first thing I do is ask them how they met, couples, how long they've been married, or living together, what do they like to do together, and eventually I get into, you have Parkinson's, and they kind of wonder, why are you talking to me about all this stuff? Because really, you don't have to define yourself by the disease. We all have something. Not everybody is aware that they have a condition yet, and I say condition instead of disease because disease sometimes frightens people.
I like that.
Yeah, and so I asked them, what is it that is challenging for you in your relationship? And a lot of times they say the intimacy. I ask, what is intimacy to you? Is it actual having sex, or is it, we're not able to do that anymore because of some physiological problems, that for the man not able to have an erection, for the woman having some dryness, vaginal dryness. And so what can you do to help that? And so you give them to talk to their doctor about it. A lot of times people are embarrassed to talk about that sort of thing because when we're kids, we're told these are your private parts and we don't talk about that sort of thing. So there's some stigma about that. And so trying to make them feel more comfortable, and they can even role play talking about what they would say to their doctor, because they can help with some of these issues. So and intimacy doesn't necessarily mean having sex. It can be holding hands and putting lotion on each other's hands and rubbing each other's hands, and that can be very, very important to people, and the feeling of having a connection with them. Some people have problems with communication because the vocal cords do not meet together, and so they're not as loud and they talk softly, and so there's a lot of friction because one partner can't hear the other one, and so there's some fighting with that. So there is a therapy that can be done. It's called LSVT, Lee Silverman Voice Therapy, that is done by a speech pathologist who helps with projection and loud. So that can help too. So when I go to talk with people and one of them is softer than the other one, and then they talk about how they have fights because of that, that can be helped and treated. So that, as far as intimacy goes, is talking to them about what their true feelings are and what was their relationship like before this all happened. It either brings people closer together or further apart.
Right. So let's go into your programs at the Parkinsons Association of the Rockies. What kind of programs do you offer to the people that come to you?
Well, we offer so many. It's so exciting. We have dance classes, tango, and other ones that they have, and we have a singing class it's called Tremble Clef, So it helps with projecting your voice, and it actually is fun. You don't even have to be a singer. It's and people have a good time, and they so we have a couple of those, and the rhythm and grace, which is people don't realize that when they're moving around dancing, your coordination is coming back.
Nice.
So yeah, and then we have 46 classes. We have a Tai Chi class. We have a circuit training class. All sorts of things for exercise.
That's awesome. So it sounds like you have some good resources in the community working with you.
Right. Yes, we have teachers. We have instructors for the boxing class that are either boxers or they're trained physical therapists. Mm-hmm. We have a yoga class where we have instructors for yoga. We have more than one yoga class. We have support groups throughout the state that are for people with Parkinson's and their partners, their family. And we have, like I mentioned earlier, a care partner support group. Mm-hmm. And when we have these support groups, we really try to educate people. We have speakers all the time that we get, and then we try not to have it be pity party support groups. Some people are afraid to go to them because they think that's going to be depressing, and we try not to do that. We have a young onset group for people that are young that have different issues than maybe some of the older people. Mm-hmm. And we also have a newly diagnosed support group.
Oh, wow. That is far-reaching and excellent. So how do they get a hold of the Parkinson's Association of the Rockies?
Sure. We have our phone number. It's 303-830-1839.
Will you say that one more time?
303-830-1839. Mm-hmm. And my number is 303-861-1810. Okay. That's 303-861-1810. And they can also look at our facebook.com/ParRockies, our Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, all sorts of things. YouTube, we have a bunch of stuff on YouTube. Or they can go to our website, which is Parkinson, PARKINSON, Rockies, ROCKIES.org.
Excellent. I am so impressed with all the programs that PAR has and just all the dedication you give to the people living resiliently with this disease. I really want you to know how much I appreciate all of you. And I just think your association is fabulous. It's a great place for people to go. You keep them strong. You keep them happy. You keep them focused. And I see people living well with this disease.
That's right. It doesn't have to, like I said before, it doesn't have to define who you are. There might be some, and I'm not trying to be Pollyanna or give false hope. People can live well with the disease, mm-hmm. And we can help them with that and educate them.
Well, I appreciate you and the whole staff there, and welcome to Jody on behalf of everybody in Colorado. We're glad to have her in place now. Yep. I look forward to meeting her personally, and thank you for being on the show. I really appreciate it, Cari.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
Sure. Now, next week, I'm going to have a show about art programs for people with dementia. It's called Memories in the Making. It's a fabulous program where we really get into art in all types of mediums. And then they have an auction out at the Broncos headquarters where they sell this art to help supply more art projects and more of the materials that they need to complete their art projects here in Colorado. It's just a great, great program through the Alzheimer's Association. And please remember, you can access my show on Cruisin' 1430. Just hit the Weekends tab, scroll down, look for Dementia Resilience with Jill Lorentz. They put those on there for me every week. Visit my website, summitresiliencetraining.com. And if you need my help, 303-420-6988. I love you out there in Caregiver Nation. I love our friends with diagnosis. We are here for you on Dementia Resilience with Jill Lorentz, and we'll see you next week.
You've been listening to Dementia Resilience with Jill Lorenz. Visit her website at summitresiliencetraining.com to learn more, and join us next week as we learn more about dementia, Alzheimer's, and overcoming obstacles with a positive outcome. See you next time.